ดีทุกท่านนะคะ Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pacharavi Tanprawat. I'm Head of Arts and Creative Industries at British Council, Thailand. And I'm delighted to be giving you an introduction to this public lecture on social enterprise and sustainable development opportunities and challenges today. So this public lecture is part of a project of the British Council, Thailand, entitled Thai UK University Curriculum it's a long name. Thai UK University Social Enterprise Curriculum Development Buddy Program. And it is an initiative to build collaborative partnerships and facilitating opportunities for students and faculty staff members from universities in both Thailand and the UK to work together in order to create materials and activities for students who are planning to take up social enterprise as a career in the future. And this program is expected to contribute to a number of areas, including mainstreaming social enterprise across disciplines, curriculum development and joint courses, incubation, policy level change, and also social enterprise network focusing on higher education. Here today we have with us Dr. Richard Hall from Goldsmiths, who will be visiting Suranari University of Technology and Udon Thani Rajapat University this week to develop collaborations and advance social enterprise curricula and social enterprise related activities with both universities. And now, please allow me to invite Dr. Richard Hall, who is the lecturer and program director of the Master's Degree Program in Social Entrepreneurship from the Institute of Creative and Cultural Entrepreneurship at Goldsmiths, University of London, to give a public lecture on social enterprise and sustainable development opportunities and challenges in developing social entrepreneurship program and opportunities with Goldsmiths, and also to talk to students who would like to study social entrepreneurship in the UK. So please give a big hand to Dr. Richard Hall.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay. Okay. Hear me at the back? Good. So what I'm going to be talking about today, I should say, first of all, that a copy of all of these slides will be available from the British Council. If you get in touch with them, they'll be able to give you a link for a downloadable copy of all these slides. So you don't need to take notes drastically if it's on the slide. If it isn't on the slide, you might need to take notes. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be saying something about Goldsmiths. I'll be saying something about the Master's Program in Social Entrepreneurship. There's some wonderful examples in Thailand, which I'll be talking about briefly, and some examples elsewhere in various different sectors, covering various of the different sustainable development goals. And I'm going to be talking also towards the end about cooperatives, because they are an important element of the social enterprise schema, if you like. And finally, about UN support and the issue of impact investment, which is an important part of the world of social enterprise. I should say I'm totally happy if anybody is unclear about something that I'm saying, or you want to ask a question about something that I'm saying as we go along. Please do feel free to put your hand up and ask me a question. Is that okay? So first of all, is there anybody here who is working in or who has set up a social enterprise? Just to let me get a feel of the audience. Only one of you. Well done, you. Good, excellent. So you'll have some useful experience for us as well.
A little bit.
Good, excellent. So are some of you studying social enterprise, perhaps? No. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me go on. Goldsmiths, on the site of Goldsmiths, we've been pursuing education for over 200 years. It was originally set up as a boarding school, then as a naval college. The college as it is now was founded by the worshipful company of goldsmiths, people who were making gold crafts and jewellery, and they built this wonderful old building, and we built this very wacky building. It's one of the things that Goldsmiths has a global reputation for being creative and a bit outside the box, and entrepreneurial. A lot of the alumni from Goldsmiths, people like Damien Hirst, Damon Albarn, are very successful creative entrepreneurs in their own right. The campus is in southeast London, and it's in quite a poor area of London, an area with a lot of deprivation, and we pride ourselves on the extent to which the university is working with the local community in areas like social enterprise and ordinary startups. So the old building is there, and the new building where I work is there. I work in something called the Institute for Creative and Cultural Entrepreneurship, which was, I suppose it's the nearest thing that Goldsmiths has to a business school. And it's not a business school, and for which I'm very glad. My background, I spent 20 years working in business schools, and I'm, you know, they're good for what they do, but there's a sort of an element of constriction about them. And the Institute for Creative and Cultural Entrepreneurship, as its name implies, is designed to encourage creative and cultural entrepreneurship, and that is the master's program in social entrepreneurship grew out of our masters in creative and cultural entrepreneurship, because we discovered that something like 20% of the, and I'm sure it would be higher these days, 20% of the students were interested in establishing a social enterprise that was also a creative and cultural enterprise. So this is some details about the program. This is the sort of applicants we're looking for, principally an enthusiasm for the subject. So if they haven't got a first degree, if they've got really good experience, we get people coming along with you know, who've got a superb experience in NGOs, in non-profits, as well as people from the commercial world. If they've got good experience, then that's just as important. And we always interview all of our applicants, either in person or by Skype or WhatsApp. So these are some of our last year's cohort. It's a very diverse group of students, range of experience, a wide range of different countries, a wide range of interests as well. And the program is very much designed to allow the students to explore their particular area of interest. So what the way that we work is we have 4 taught modules, and a module on which is we call the dissertation or project module. So the 4 taught modules we look at. The 4 taught modules are divided in between sort of fairly practice-focused topics and quite theoretical topics. So the practice-focused topics are entrepreneurial modeling, where you learn how to develop your business plan, and evaluating social impact, where you learn about the various different ways that there are for evaluating the social impact. Oh, yes, I have put it up there. Evaluating the social impact of your venture, which is, as you know, a very important part of any social enterprise, is to be able to demonstrate what exactly is the social impact you're having. And the foundations of social enterprise is sort of semi-practice, semi-theory. We look at, for instance, relations between social enterprise and the changing global relations between the public sector and the private sector. And with advanced topics in social enterprise, we're looking, for instance, at the differences between different countries, different national policies. You've got interesting legal developments in Thailand. There are other examples where there are various different policy frameworks for the encouragement of social enterprise. And then a dissertation, a project, and we teach some research methods for that. And sometimes students will have an existing, this year two of our part-time students, they've both got their own social enterprises, and so they will be basing their work on their experience in their own enterprises. And we also bring in a lot of external speakers, people from the policy world, social enterprise practitioners, people from the academic study of social enterprises. And when you graduate, there's a huge range of directions that the graduates take. Some will, we've had people going to become an Acumen Fellow, people going to discover more about social enterprise through volunteering, people working for established social enterprises, and there are some very big social enterprises in the UK and globally. So there are a lot of positions within social enterprise which are available. And of course working for social enterprise support organisations, and that might be sort of independent advisory organisations, or it might be government support organisations. And finally, some students go on to teach and to conduct research, and we very much encourage that, because that's part of the program. Okay, so what is social enterprise? And there aren't any easy one-sentence answers, I don't think. But I mean, there really aren't. And one of the best ways I have found is this. This is recent work from Jacques Duforny and Martin Eissens, and they situate social enterprise in this triangle, and which is distinguished by three different types of interest that the stakeholders have. The stakeholders might have an interest in their capital. Stakeholders might have mutual interests. So if it's, for instance, a cooperative, then whether it's a workers' cooperative or a member cooperative, they have mutual interests. Or it might be a mutual interest association. So mutual financial services companies, for instance, where the people who lend their money to an organisation become members of that organisation and have some controlling say. So they have a mutual interest. And then there's the general interest, which often comes from the state, but there might be other general interest associations. National charities, for instance, who are paying attention to health promotion, for instance. So cutting across that, we've got public funding, a mixture of public and other sources of income, and that might be donations, for instance, charitable donations, and dominantly market income from trading. So you can see why it's not easy to capture all of that in one short sentence. So one of the really useful things that I think that Jacques Duforny and Martin Eissens have done with this definition is to look at some particular types, particular models, if you like. This, for instance, is an entrepreneurial non-profit. So there are, especially in the United States, there are a group of what we might still think of as non-profit organisations or charities who are becoming more entrepreneurial. So they are moving away from that, moving more in that sort of direction. Okay? You've got social businesses. So this is a step on from corporate social responsibility. Do stop me if you want me to explain any of this in any more detail. So it's a move toward more in that direction. A lot of social businesses also derive part of their incomes from donations or other sources of funding or grants, for instance. Okay. So the social businesses. This is the standard example of social businesses are what's called B Corps or benefit corporations, okay, which is a particular certification model developed in the USA and now going global. Here, SC. This is this means social cooperative, and this is a model that is particularly significant in Italy. Where there is a law expressly setting out a particular definition and particular sort of financial advantages for being a social cooperative, where the social is the community that you're working with. So the community that you're working with have a cooperative interest in the enterprise. And then finally, one of the most interesting sort of aspects is public sector social enterprises. So what is happening in a lot of countries is that, especially in the UK at the moment, is that parts of the public sector, especially for instance in the health sector and in the adult social care sectors, are spinning out of the public sector and becoming what we call in the UK public sector mutuals. So they are standalone health and social care organisations that used to be in the public sector, still gain most of their income from commissioning from the public sector, but they're moving in this direction, and that's quite a useful addition to the lexicon of different types of social enterprise. Okay, so, phew. It's complicated, isn't it? But as you know, I think we're getting there actually. With these definitions, I think we're getting a pretty good grasp on it now. So, you have all wonderfully had an opportunity to have a copy of the British Council's report on social enterprise, and in particular they focus on delivering more sustainable development. And I'm going to be mentioning a few examples of that to get us into the swing of it. This is funded. So Social Enterprise UK is a representative and advocacy body. It's standalone. It's not funded by the government. Its income comes from producing research. It comes from membership fees. It's a social enterprise itself. Okay, so it has diverse sources of income. It is a mutual interest social enterprise. It is advocating on behalf of its members and of all social enterprises. So this is an intermediary body, and it's an important element of any social enterprise support ecosystem, to have some sorts of intermediary bodies who can do advocacy and campaigning work on behalf of social enterprises, as well as providing support to start-up social enterprises. In fact, in the UK, this is that's not so much the role of SEUK. There are other organisations who provide start-up support. The original, the primary producer is the one whose margins get squeezed the most because they have least power. in a supply chain. And one of the distinctive aspects of Divine Chocolate is that it's owned by the farmers themselves. So, and a lot of work goes into sort of helping them to improve their processes and add value to their products. Sustainable development, it's not necessarily the case that something, if it's fair trade, is going to be sustainable. So this is an example from Peru of deforestation as a result of clearing the land for cocoa farming. And deforestation, as you know, is something not to be encouraged. So Cafe Direct, this example is in the British Council handbook. Cafe Direct was formed in 1991. The first coffee brand to carry the fair trade mark. First fair trade product sold in UK supermarkets. Big business. It's a big business. But as I said, just being fair trade doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be really sustainable. So there's a number of research projects which have looked explicitly from an accounting perspective, have looked at the returns that coffee farmers get through fair trade, and have found that they're sometimes it's not that great for them. And there are other certification schemes which have more rigorous criteria. So there's the Rainforest Alliance certified scheme, and one mentioned here the bird friendly or shaded, because one of the key things about coffee growing is that you're taking away the shade by having intensive agriculture. So the idea is to integrate coffee growing with existing or with new growth of trees which provide cover for birds. And this is a resource, an online resource on sustainable development in Thailand, with a special area focusing on social enterprise. The two are very well linked. And here's a famous example, which is also the Doitong, very famous enterprise there. Another example is this one is done through a partnership with Singha, and it's a park helping farmers. And finally, I found a recent article. Well, not that recent; it's a year old. Sorry. Which picks out a number of different Thai social entrepreneurs, and there's some good examples there. Okay, and just yesterday, in fact, I experienced another well-known example. This gentleman here he is, has set up this enterprise, and a wonderfully clever idea he set up 2 restaurants, and the restaurants are promoting birth control. So it's called Cabbages and Condoms. So I went to the one in Pattaya yesterday, which was a great place. It was lovely. And it's clearly been incredibly successful, and it's a really good example. Okay, so elsewhere in the world, I'm going to be running through a number of examples, sort of illustrating different aspects, different models, different sectors. So this is we're combining 2 sustainable development goals here. One about, 3 really. One about empowering women, one about sustainable energy, and one about education. Because solar lighting in many parts of the world, or lighting full stop, is necessary for people to study, for children to study in the evenings. And in a lot of places, lighting is done, for instance, through kerosene, which generates lots of fumes, which causes blindness and lung problems. So solar lighting is a very good example of sort of demonstrating the interconnectedness of different sustainable development goals within a particular freestanding project. So in this enterprise, the women are earning money through selling solar lights. Okay, and a very similar example is Solar Aid, which has set up a social enterprise called Sunny Money, also providing providing sort of opportunities for retail entrepreneurs, people to sell solar lamps, and they do it very much through the schools. So the way that they work is they go along they enroll the head teachers and the teachers into the scheme to persuade the parents to purchase solar lamps, which has driven the demand for solar lamps, and that has in turn driven innovation and also driven the costs down. As you know, the costs of solar panels have been dropping quite dramatically, and so one of this another sort of aspect. Another aspect of so this is here we are selling some solar lamps in the local market in Kenya. And this is another element of sort of the supporting social enterprises, the ecosystem of support for social enterprises, is to understand, have a clearer picture of the market conditions and what it takes in order to build and develop markets for particular products or particular services. And I'll come back to that later on. Okay. So another area where the development of a market is really encouraging innovation is in cook stoves. Again, a similar issue. We're trying to find a more sustainable energy source for cooking as opposed to lighting, and there are lots and lots of sort of standalone social enterprises engaged in this. But this is the Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stoves, and this is this is another sort of element of the social enterprise ecosystem, is aggregating, pulling together information about particular, about say particular product lines. So this Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stoves has a catalogue, a clean cooking catalogue, with 321 different types of clean cook stoves. That's pretty impressive, I think. Pretty impressive. And so you can see there's a 100-litre institutional one, a 5-star basic stove. Gosh, it goes on and on and on. And here's one particular example, Navdugal Metal Industries in India, and they've got they sell two models. This is one here, and that's another, a slightly larger version. But both, and that's a different picture of the same one here. Both of these are using rice husks as their energy source, or leftovers. Okay. And this alliance for the Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stoves is working in a whole range of different countries. So this is. I think these are all the countries where more than 5% of the population, I think it's more than 5%, something like that, are relying on open fires for cooking.